So we'll go on to the 8th Legion now, which is Conrad Curse. The Night Lord.
No, Night Stalker or something, isn't it? Night Stalker, Night Crawler, Night Stalker, Night whatever you want. So anything in the night.
The Dark Knight rises.
Anything in the night.
Yeah. I like Conrad. Psycho, completely unhinged, but brilliant.
He's one of my top 3, and that might just be because I don't know enough about some of the others. But it's also with regards to what I've read. But yes, he's so tormented that his story is great in that sense, but he cannot tell reality from what's already written, if that makes sense. He has no destiny. He's just resigned to his fate.
He firmly believes that is his fate to do these things as well. So he's like when he has these visions, he's like they are set in stone.
Yeah.
Why his opposite is obviously Sanguinus, and he's like the opposite. He's like the future's not set. These are just images.
No, his opposite isn't Sanguinus.
No, I just mean it in the sense of like because they both get premonitions.
He sees his opposite as my favourite, Corvus. Mm-hmm. He sees his opposite as Corvus because he compares himself to him all the time, and it's because Corvus is seen as good, and he's seen as a good leader, and he does well, and his father likes him, and he sees himself as only ever doing wrong and bad and horrible, and he thinks, but he's like, why?
I meant in the sense of like the visions. So like when Conrad is like he's like his visions are like, and he believes them. It's like this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
While Sangi's like, this might happen. It showed me.
He sees that
it's not set. It's not a set path you have to take. It's like you have the ability to change.
Myself out of rum. I just spilled more rum myself. This is how Fulgrim drinks rum.
More across the chest. Extra spillage.
Conrad Curse, I think, again...
Exceptional fighter as well.
Yeah, the way he stopped Corvus from decapitating Lorgar.
Yeah, that was quite cool. And that actually tormented...
massively, so he hated it afterwards. He was just like, especially because of obviously his rage to actually go and chase Lorgar afterwards. And he's like, I could have had him, and he was kind of almost afraid of him as well, which is quite interesting because
I think he was afraid of
Masters of the Night.
Yeah, he was afraid of that he could have ended up like Conrad as well.
Which is like, again, like going back to it, like he compares himself to him Curse compares himself to Corvus all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's always, it's a huge thing in the books that I've read anyway so far, where he talks about, well, why was he so great? Why could I not have been like him? But again, it's that he could have been. He could have been, but he was so resigned to following his path, and we were inevitably going to talk about him, Sevatar. For me, I'm bursting to talk about him because I love him.
I love Sevatar. I think Sevatar, the Prince of Crows, I think he's an amazing character, and he gives no shits.
Yeah.
Like, and he tells his dad, you're a bad man.
Yeah, and exactly, and on that point, and that's one of the points, is he compares himself to Corvus, saying why was he so great? Why could he do that? Penal colony, made the world that he was on great, and a beacon of hope and prospering. And he was like, well, I did the same. He was like, I did the same, but then Sevatar's no shit's given because you didn't. He's like, you slaughtered and murdered everyone. And he was like, did anybody else do that? And he's like, no, you took the easy way and the lazy way, which was
just kill
everyone.
Skin them.
Kill everyone.
Hang them.
Do it in horrible, brutal ways, know. And he's doing this whilst he's speaking to him in his quarters, in his flagship, where there's body parts hanging around. And, he's talking to him in this scenario as a murderer himself, because Sevatar is, you have to be a Night Lord. You have to be,
I think
off
one
the
of
chain with that
Sevatar's
shit.
greatest kills as well was killing the wall in his cell with spit. So Dark Angels capture him, and he's sitting in his cell for a couple of days, just spitting at the wall, melting it with his acid spit.
And they come in, catch him, no shit's given. He's like, I was almost out. You caught me this time.
I think Sevatar's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I've got a
character.
big soft spot for Conrad Kurz and all the stuff he gets up to.
I will say
I didn't like it when he was torturing Vulcan, but
again,
that comes to his character.
again though, I did like. Again, I think it was brilliant sort of insight into his character. He was desperate to break him. Desperate to break him down to his level, and because he's stuck in this. This is my fate. I have to be a horrible, nasty piece of shit, and he was so desperate to break Vulcan, and no matter what he did to him, making people round a table with no hands. They had fork and cutlery, but they couldn't speak, they couldn't hear, they'd been blinded and deafened, and he was the only one at the table that could sit and try to shout at them and be like, you feed them, but he couldn't pass that message along. All these humans, which is the ultimate torture for Vulcan, was these humans that were so vulnerable, cornered, put round a table and forced to suffer. And over again, similar things, burned him to death, cremated him to a crisp.
But he was just
desperate to just break him, but he couldn't do it. And it drove him insane that his brother...
Well, he did technically break Vulcan.
But he was mental at the end.
Vulcan did lose his shit.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you think about it, however long he was in there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Vulcan didn't really know that he was a perpetual either. So
no, but that's why he wasn't. Even then, he wasn't broken. He always sought the good thing.
Yeah.
He always sought the right thing in all of these trials. And Kurz was just desperate to show him as an animal, but even in that, he couldn't do it. And because he just wanted a brother to be an animal like he was, like in the sense of murdering, torturing, and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't break him, which I think is just like, again, it goes to his character. He wanted redemption so much, but he could never achieve it because he wasn't that he didn't want it. It was just he couldn't actually get past his own psyche, his own psychic, his own psychic powers that showed him a future. Because they showed him a future, but it didn't have to be, if you know what I mean. He could have done something else.
The Emperor built him that way, though, for a reason. So.
What was the reason?
Because he had to create that fear and terror. He had to be that.
He was supposed to be justice and honor. I think it was again.
He had to be Batman.
No, exactly. But see, they could have landed on a planet. Like, see, if he landed on a different planet, I think the idea behind him is he could have been.
But did the Emperor know this was going to happen?
Well, maybe.
Did the Emperor know? Did the Emperor know? These are all the things we've got to ask.
Maybe.
Did the Emperor know?
But you have to question it as is with what we know. And he could have been a good guy. He was supposed to have justice and order in mind. I think. Well, what they say, from what I've heard and read, he was supposed to be the justice and order. But because he landed...
Justice.
Yeah, exactly. What justice? But because he landed on such a shithole.
But he did bring order to his planet. Fair enough, he mutilated
The
thousands.
lazy way. The lazy way. Maybe
He
he
wasn't
was
lazy, he was working hard to do it.
He's just having fun.
He worked hard
He was
to
like
get
Jack the Ripper and fucking
I know.
with no police.
And he worked hard. He was good at his job. Right, moving on. Ninth Legion. Blood Angels, Sanguinus. Can anyone say anything bad about Sangi?
Dave's nodding his head. He's off camera, but you can...
Dave's off camera, but we don't speak to Dave. So we're going to go on.
I'm kind of interested to know what is...
Yeah, Dave.
What's so bad about
He
Sanguinus?
just looked down his nose at everybody.
All right.
Looked at... okay, right.
Maybe it's because his head was always like this because he was proud.
It's also, that's just such a Morty fan thing to say.
He flies. And he flies. Technically, wait, Dave, I don't know what you're saying because he flies. He's always looking down at people. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Then we've established it.
The dude has wings.
Yeah, he has
literal
wings. Yeah, that makes him awesome already.
Yeah. The drinking of blood thing is maybe a little
What?
not so great.
Why? It's just thirsty.
It's kind of not really. It's not really a done thing, is it?
Mortarion
Drinking
just
blood.
shoot cups of poison.
Mortarion has done a lot of dirty things. The guy is dirty. We're not talking about him yet.
He needs a wash. Anyway,
We're talking about drinking blood, and that's still not very cool.
back to Sanguinus. Another character that is loved by his brothers, nearly all his brothers.
Yeah,
I don't
pretty
think there was-
unilaterally. Everyone, in some way, looks up to him or strives to be him in some way.
Yeah.
He was.
But also, again, another tortured soul. He believed that he was essentially. He felt like the most pressure was on him because of his wings and because he was seen as not so much a mutant, but what they all.
Well, a literal angel, which goes on kind of contradictory to
Yeah.
the no fucking God premise.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think one of the things I love about Sanguinus as well is that he knew that he had to fight Horus at some point, and he knew. I say no. It was strongly pointed out that he was going to lose against Horus, and he still went to it all. He still went and faced his fate. You know, there was options and paths that he had premonitions of where he thought, well, this could be a possibility, but overall it was overshadowed by, you know, he was going to meet Horus and Horus was going to kill him, and you know he knew at some point he was going to fight him. He didn't know the outcome, but I mean everything that he had a premonition of was him losing, but he still went like an absolute boss and went to fight him, which I thought, you know, that's amazing. It's something he didn't cower from the moment.
Which you have to question. You do feel like Sanguinus should have beaten Horus. Like you do. Like he was.
I know, but like Horus was petrified of him. Like 'cause Horus actually was worried, which is why he sent him away.
But the thing is, again, Horus was like I think he was petrified of him because he was like his most respected brother.
They were close.
Yeah, they were the two of them were like Sanguinius was Horus's closest brother. He knew about his what do you call it?
Red thirst.
Yeah, red thirst. Yeah, but what do you call them again? The blotch in their sort of DNA, their gene seeds.
Yeah.
Gene malfunctions of their genes. I forgot. Too much rum. But like he knew about that.
Flaws. Flaws in the gene.
Flaws in the gene seed. That's the word I'm looking for. But like he kept that secret and he knew about it from way, way, way before the early days, and obviously he turned it to his advantage in the end because he knew about it. But I think the whole time, because he was his brother and he was closest to him, he was always afraid to go and fight him, and he was always hesitant to confront him because obviously it's a huge thing. It was the one thing that if he could do that, I suppose turning on the Emperor would be easy. Turning on Sanguinius, maybe not so much. He was desperate to turn him initially as well. He tried to turn him really hard. He didn't want to fight him. He didn't want to kill him. He wanted him out of the way.
Well, Chaos wanted
Chaos
Sanguinus.
wanted Sanguinus.
They wanted him.
Yeah.
That's who they wanted. Horus was a backup, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Sanguinus was all a bit of a wind-up merchant as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Again, same scene.
Yeah, same scene back with the Khan and Morty and Fulgrim. But yeah, you know, he's sitting winding them up, but there's another scene in the first Horus Heresy book, Horus Rising, I think it is. You know, and Horus is talking and Sanguinus is like flicking things at him. In the book, I was just like, that stuff like that's brilliant because it is just brotherly love. It's like, you know, winding each other up. But I quite like that about him as well. It's like overall, I think Sanguinus is up there in the charts of
Top
cool.
Primarchs, yeah.
Yeah,
You can again.
You can.
As we said at the start, it's hard to say a bad word about him. Really,
Yeah.
he's not done much wrong. He hasn't done much wrong. And his Legion, everybody loves Blood Angels. Any sort of off chapter of the Blood Angels, everyone loves them. They're a tough Legion to beat. The only thing for me is the blood drinking thing, but that might just be a fantasy thing coming to me. Vampires, vampires.
So you like vampires?
Vampires are not so great.
So we'll go on to the Iron Tenth now with Ferrus Manus.
You love him.
I like Ferrus Manus. I think that Ferrus Manus, although he wasn't written in much in the Horus Heresy, but I think his stories.
Early doors.
Yeah, because he obviously was like the first Primarch to die, which then set off that Primarchs could die.
Yeah, because he was new.
And he was killed by the possessed Fulgrim, who was possessed. So Fulgrim technically
Fulgrim never killed him.
It was the demon.
It was the demon. He gave himself over.
Yeah, because Fulgrim gave himself over like a little bitch. But
bend over.
Obviously, there wasn't a huge amount written in the Horus Heresy about Ferrus Manus because he did die so early on Isfan. But he also has a bit of a story, but from the other Primarchs when they refer to him in different books, and they have flashbacks of with Ferrus Manus, and I think even Horus Heresy, even Horus himself said, if Fulgrim hadn't have messed up and got Ferrus Manus on our side, which Ferrus Manus was never going to do, but if Horus believed if Fulgrim had done it correctly and got Ferrus Manus, they would have been at Terra long before, which then points out that, you know, someone like Horus with his abilities and his way of running a war, he actually had huge respect for Ferrus Manus and the way Ferrus Manus would win a war, and he knew that if he'd had Ferrus Manus, then he would have been able to get Terra a lot earlier, which again I think is a massive, you know, boon towards Ferrus Manus, because it's like these Primarchs also say like Ferrus Manus was zealous in what he did. He was total xenophobe.
He was massively respected from all of his brothers. Like craftsmanship, like Vulcan looked up to him when it comes to crafting things.
Vulcan had the beauty of craftsmanship, and Ferrus Manus had
the sheer deadliness of it. I mean, he created amazing works, but with none of the prettiness, but the deadliness of just something so massive.
Potty's got his hammer now, doesn't he? Potty walks about his hammer, isn't he? I'm pretty sure it is.
I'll double. I think pretty sure it is. But it's like a bit like he was massively respected by all of his brothers as well. Like everyone did look up to him in some way or other. Again, similar to like Sanguinius, but not so much. They didn't so much look up to him. They kind of envied him a little bit. Whereas, you know, Manus was kind of, they looked up and they wanted his respect, but they were a little bit afraid of him as well. Like even I remember, was it Lorgar went to him? No, it was Fulgrim. Fulgrim went to him, and he made Fulgrim his sword as well, hadn't he?
So he made Fulgrim his sword, and Fulgrim made the hammer.
And it wasn't almost as it was almost as if he was afraid to go and see him because he knew how much. But you know, he's sitting there. It wasn't that he was afraid to see him. It's he knew he didn't like him. It's like he went to see him. And I still remember reading it actually, that like so Manus is sitting forging this sword for him, and he's just sitting in his forge, just classic sort of 80s film, Predator film, top off, just sweat, sparks flying everywhere, just hammering fucking steel. And Fulgrim walks into his forge
and instantly strips off and does the same.
Yeah, because it's Fulgrim.
Taps off.
But Fulgrim, Sir Manus gives Fulgrim no time of day at all. He's more of a, I've made you this as a sign of respect. I don't like you, but have this.
But they end up being besties though.
Well, it's not. They're not besties.
No, but they actually do, and that's why I think my Ferrus Manus loses his shit so much, because when Fulgrim obviously makes the remark to say like, we're going on this side, we're not fighting for them, and Ferrus Manus is loyal. I think there was 3 or 4 Primarchs where the Chaos Gods just weren't approaching them. So there was like obviously Gilliman, Dawn, and Ferrus Manus, I think, were 3 that they just weren't going to touch. I think Lehman Russ as well was another one they weren't going
Magnus
to go.
was one they were desperate to get. Why? Because he's awesome.
Anyway, so like there's also some other interesting Iron Hand characters. So Shadrach Medusan, who's another one actually.
Yeah.
He stars in a lot of books.
No.
He's actually a decent character, not like a massively loved one on my part, but I think
Is Medusan not the one that slaughtered all the Raven Guard?
Shadrach Medusan.
Yeah.
No, he didn't slaughter. No, he was helping the Shattered Legions. Basically, he had salamanders and he had Raven Guard with him the whole time.
Oh, there is an Iron Hand. This is the reason why I'm not a massive fan of Iron Hands, is because they are known to slaughter Raven Guard. And
When did they slaughter the Raven Guard?
I can't remember exactly, but
On
there was
facts, Robert.
there was orcs attacking a settlement, and there was a broken.
Is this 40k?
No. This is obviously Shattered Legions still. So broken Shattered Legions, Iron Hands and Raven Guard together defending a settlement of humans, and the wall is breached, and the Iron Hands fall back, hold the line, while the Raven Guard go in and valiantly defend the hole and breach. And the Iron Hands decide to just open fire and wipe out all of the Raven Guard along with the orcs.
Sounds like propaganda.
They don't get me wrong. So the idea is there that they could get away with it. The sneaky idea is that they created enough energy for the WAG to disperse by killing enough psychers, but sounds like heretic stuff to me. And even that captain, I'll have to look up his name.
I think someone's telling a boo-boo.
It's not a boo-boo, it's fat. I'll Google it later. Ferrus Manus, my opinion of him is he is a bit of a prick.
But I like Ferrus Manus, so we're at odds with this
He's
one.
pig-headed, steadfast. He's happy to slaughter his own legion for the sake of a little bit of anger. Which, don't get me wrong, he's got some cool parts of him, but he is, by and by, just for somebody who's supposed to be a Primarch, so intelligent, so smart, so tactically minded, he's lazy, and he just thinks he can throw troops at it. And that's why he died to a demony Fulgrim. I say demony Fulgrim because Fulgrim never killed shit.
The only thing Fulgrim killed was all the books he starred in. Anyway, let's go on to the 11th Legion, who are also not appearing in this video. So we'll skip 11 and go on to the 12th Legion, which is obviously the World Eaters and Angron. Angron.
The dude held up a Titan.
Yeah, he held up a Warhound Titan's foot. I mean,
That's very fucking cool.
that is.
And he had to be saved from digging a hole so deep because he didn't realise which way was up and down.
He's basically half mole. You know, he was going the wrong way as well till his psychic cohort was like.
It was Logar again saved him from that.
No, it was his psychers. He had the psychers that he didn't like, and they were just like, "Dude, father, you're going the wrong way. Go up."
I thought it was Logar.
Well, I think Logar was there.
Yeah.
But Logar essentially helped save him as well.
Yeah.
But like, that's another thing, is actually Angron and Logar is actually Logar obviously is trying to help Angron survive because he knows the butcher's nails are killing him, and Angron
False
kind of
promises again though. False promises.
pillow talk.
Not pillow talk. You can't say, "Hey, dude, the thing that's causing you immense amount of agony all day, every day, will be fine." And then actually, yeah, it's not.
But Angron, story of Angron. Butcher's Nails got deprived of saving his arena brothers.
Sad story.
That is no, it is. It's a genuine sad story because he wanted to fight in the sands.
He wanted to die.
Yeah, well, he wanted to die with
his
them.
brothers. Yeah.
But I think this is one of the things as well. It's like, would that have made a huge difference if the Emperor had obviously stopped and just went, right, we're going to take them with us, we'll save them, we'll help you fight this war, finish it off, and then we'll do that. But they didn't. He just took Angron and let them die. That's what happened, and then
Yeah, you have to question he could have just intervened as well and helped.
Well, he intervened with Morty. He helped Morty.
Nobody cares about Morty.
Yeah, nobody does care about Morty. Shut up, Dave. So, but then obviously, like they go back later. So, like Logar and Angron go back later to that planet. I can't remember what it was called. But there's obviously all the skulls of Angron's friends and that, and Angron's remembering through his rage and all the rest of it. And Logar,
he specifically takes him to that.
Yeah, he takes him there. But it's like, reliving that nightmare and that loss is like quite a massive thing for him. And it is actually a sad tale of Angron. And there's some cool things about Angron. Like the holding up the Titan's foot was cool. When he pops out the sands, is it Isfahan? He just comes out and everyone's like, is it an earthquake? And then Angron pops up and just starts hacking everyone. Like, and it was like,
yeah, he is cool to a certain degree. The thing that gets me is he has to be, obviously. He's just full of rage. He's a bit one linear to read about. There's certain points again. It's the Lorgar and Angron interactions where Lorgar has a way of calming him down almost. It's not even calming him down, but just being able to get through to him mentally. But like, there's so many things there. But if you think if he hadn't had the Butcher's Nails, he could have been such a cool Primarch. But it was just what?
Morty.
I thought you were talking about Morty.
No,
we're not talking about Morty.
Sorry, continue. Take two.
Yeah, take two. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The interaction again between Morty? The interaction again between Angron and Lorgar, like the way he can calm him down and sort of get through to him. And we spoke about it before, like the way his face twitches, like, again, the nails biting, wanting to kill, to fight, to feel pain, to inflict pain. And then, like, Lorgar being able to kind of soothe that and talk to him. Again, it's one of those, it's like each brother has that one brother that's sort of somebody to guide them. And unfortunately, sometimes it's just the way it kind of fell was every brother that relied on the other was the one that would lead them down the fucking shit.
But I have a question, though. Logar, obviously, he wants to stop Angron from dying. So but he does want to stop Angron from dying. I mean, at the end of the day, he actually has, and I think it is described in my chapter, that he does have a love for his brother, and does he want to save him, or does he want him to endure the pain?
No, he does,
because I think he wants to save him. But at the same time, is he truly saving him?
No, he does. So for me, we'll come to Lorgar. I feel like he knows full well what awaits him. He knows what's happening. He knows what he's going to do to him. And yes, it will keep him alive. It will give him immortal life. And because he's, again, we'll come to him, he will be invincible, he'll be invulnerable, he'll be immortal. So he is saving him, but he was not taking away from that pain. And I think he knows full well he's not saving him from that pain. To save him from that pain would be to let him get crushed underneath the Titan, would be to let him die. And again,
can you crush that rage?
How the fuck did Lorgar survive that Titan shooting?
Well, we'll get onto that in Lorgar.
Again, I know, but sorry, it's in my head, it's fresh. I'm thinking about that book. What a piece of shit. Anyway,
but what we'll do is we're going to have a quick recess now, because I'm on my way to the confession box.